My name is Diana, and I'm 18 years old, living in Malaysia. My dad's been working with WWF for quite some time. Before that, he was actually a member of WWF and also MNS, which is Malaysia's Nature Society. So since I was young, I've always been exposed to conservation and nature and the outdoors and so on. So after I finished my exams, I was actually thinking of studying environmental science. But my dad was having second thoughts. He was telling me that you don't really need to study environmental science to get involved in conservation. You can do other things. So my dad wanted me to have first-hand experience on conservation work and so on before I made my decision on what I wanted to study. Well, basically, WWF, they have this volunteer program. The procedures are pretty simple. You just apply for it, and if they approve of it, then you can start joining in their many programs like reforestation, marine, office work, and so on. So for me, my dad wanted me to experience as much as possible. So he got me in a few of the projects involved in Sabah, particularly in reforestation and also the marine side. So for reforestation, I actually went to Sukau Kinabatangan, which is the Corridor of Life project. Now this project, it involves the Kinabatangan River and the reforestation area around it. While for the marine project, I was involved in the Coral Triangle. This Coral Triangle project, it involves 3 countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, and also the Philippines. It's a project to help preserve our corals and also our marine life. In Sabah, it involved Sempurna. I was very fortunate to meet a lot of good people, especially during the Corridor of Life project in Sukau. I was staying in the WWF lodge with 3 other people. The first one was Eric Frenstrom. He's from Canada. He's actually a professional tree planter in Canada. And the interesting is I got to learn a lot more about tree planting. It's actually a prosperous job in Canada. Unlike here, we don't think highly of people who plant trees, but over there in Canada, they're making a lot of money and so on. The other 2 were Ferdi and Joanne. Now these people, they're the WWF staff. So they were there as officers, keeping guard of the area there, patrolling, helping out in the reforestation efforts, and me and Eric, we were just there to volunteer. For the marine project, I got to meet marine biologist Nina Ho and also the head of the project over there, and I got to meet with Dr. Annadel. Now Dr. Annadel, she's a very, very famous marine biologist, fully experienced. She's actually from the Philippines, and she's the head in the marine department in the Borneo department in WWF. So for the reforestation project, basically what they did was we had to do a lot of reforestation, replanting of trees. Now the situation is over there's a lot of palm oil, and what happened is these estates, the palm oil estates, they always plant more than their specific area. So what WWF does is they contact these people and they chop the palm oil down. So now we have this area that was once palm oil and the forest isn't there anymore. So what we need to do is we need to replant these places with suitable plants and try to make a forest again. So what happened is we went to all these places and we planted trees. We had a lot of different places. Some were near the river, some were deeper inside, but most of these projects, they are overlooked by WWF, but they're handled by the local people there. WWF is kind of low on human resources, so what they did was they had all the fundings from the other WWF countries, and what they did was they transferred these funds to the local people, and they asked the local people to set up a business specifically for tree planting. So it helped in also giving the local people job opportunities, and it also helps in educating the people because when we cut down the trees, sometimes these people are actually the local people. So by having local people replanting the trees, in the end they can also educate their other village mates or their other friends who are cutting down the trees. So in a way, we're spreading the message of replanting is better than cutting down the trees, and you can even earn an income, and it also helps all the people. And so in a way, it's this big circle of positive effects. The local people help WWF, and WWF helps the local people. So all in all, it's a good effect for the environment. Everybody can benefit from it. One of the things that I saw was basically palm oil in the effects of the palm oil industry. As we know, Malaysia is a big player in the palm oil industry. We provide a lot of palm oil to the world. So what happens is, Sabah especially, we have a lot of land area, forestry and so on. So a lot of people cut down all the forests to plant these palm oils, but what they don't know is it's causing a lot of negative effects. I mean, other than the huge loss of biodiversity, another thing that unfortunately happens is floods. Now, for example, there's this one area around Sungai Kinabatangan, around one of the rivers there. What happened is, because the people there, they didn't do enough research, they just cut down the forest and planted the palm oil. But in the end, due to this, there were major floods all over the area. So in the end, all the palm oil that was planted there couldn't even be used. So in the end, it just resulted in negative profits and so on. So it's a big loss to the biodiversity. It's also a big loss to the industry. So what I think people should do is they should plan properly rather than just cut down all the forests and plant all the trees. And also what I saw was a big loss, as I said, in the biodiversity. As you go through boat near the rivers, you're supposed to see a lot of orangutans, proboscis monkeys, crocodiles and so on. But the many times I went through the rivers, I rarely saw an orangutan. In fact, in my trip there, I didn't even see a single orangutan, which is pretty strange because supposedly that area is filled with orangutans. I did see a lot of proboscis monkeys, and I was able to sight 2 crocodiles. But before this, a long time ago, this wasn't the case. I mean, usually we see a lot of animals there. Other than that, temperatures also are deeply affected. As we know, climatic change, global warming is all caused of deforestation and increase in carbon dioxide. Talking to the local people there, they themselves can feel the differences. They said now the air is drier, it's hotter, it's not like it used to be. It doesn't rain often, the seasonal changes, they can see it themselves, the local people themselves. So I think moving on to the Semporna project, a great impact was to the coral reef itself. Basically around islands such as Mabu Island and Sipadan, all around them, the amount of corals are deteriorating. The corals are getting damaged for a number of reasons, such as human activities like fish bombing and so on. But other than that, I think climate change has also played a part in this. The rough changes in sea levels, the temperature isn't the same, winds, rainfall and so on. If you want more information, you can go to the WWF website. Thanks again.